webinar, we will learn how to turn adversity into resilience and then opportunity. So we will get some training in how to turn pain into gain and enhance our ability to achieve our goals faster and reach our full potential. We will certainly be introduced to a number of empowering skills to design our lives with clarity of purpose and to reach the dreams we desire.
Oh, so how inspiring.
I'm impatient to start and to follow this presentation.
Right, and of course, all of this will be introduced by a distinguished guest, Coach Nour-Eddine Aboudihaj, speaking to us from London. Mr. Aboudihaj has trained with the Coaching Academy in London, as well as with some of the world great coaches and trainers. His excellent resilience, spiritual well-being, and coaching style have sharpened his inner core skill. Is this right? And outer core attributes. Mr. Aboudihaj has postgraduate diplomas from Westminster and Cambridge universities. He is a visiting lecturer to many universities in the UK and also in Morocco. Aboudihaj, let me add, he is a trilingual translator, a community champion, and a winner of Millennium Fellowship Award, a very, very prodigious award. And lately, he won the Mayor's Award for outstanding contributions to the lives of residents of Royal Borough, Kensington, and Chelsea, London. Nour-Eddine Aboudihaj is also a poet. Oh, we would love to hear from you, Mr. Aboudihaj. You are also a journalist and the author of the book, The Straight Path to Success. This is a book I have personally just finished. And please, if you want to know more about our guest today, please read the book, which is, as it is mentioned by the author himself, it's a voyage of self-discovery. So, Mr. Aboudihaj, I know you're of service to global audiences. An example is your action after the tragic event of the fire of London Grenfell Tower. You revealed all secrets in your book, by the way. So where people in this tragic event, people died and others, of course, traumatized. So great to know that you set up a Grenfell Trust as a legacy of hope of the bereaved and survivors to provide a kind of lifeline support. So Mr. Aboudihaj, let me quote you. In your book, you said there is no better satisfaction than to empower people, to improve or to remove the fear and anxiety that stops them from having voice. So we're looking forward to hearing from you, and the floor is yours. Thank you very much again for accepting our invitation.
Thank you very much for that very nice introduction. I'm very happy and honored to be with you today. And first, I would like to say that I'm very impressed and with the work that you've been doing, and I wish you all the best. And my contribution is going to be just minimal in the work you've been doing. So I don't need to introduce myself after your brief introduction. So I'll ask Suleiman. Yes. So thank you very much. If you can just center the slide so that we can see it clearly. The first one, just the first one, please. Yeah, if you can have it in the center. Thank you. So thank you, Sana, for the introduction. As you mentioned, so So that's who is Nour-Eddine Aboudihaj. All I want to add is that as part of my learning, I've written The Straight Path to Success, and there is something I'm going to read from it, which align with what the Circle of Diamonds are doing, which is how we can find the right platform to express our voice. So I'll read about that later. The first thing is, why are we here today? So now that you know a little bit about me, I mean, if you want to know more, you can go to my website, which is straightpath.co.uk, which I'll give it to you at the end. Or also you just Google my name and you'll find information about me. So just for the time, so today we're going to talk about emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is and leadership is one of the skills that are very important in today's world. One of the things that was said is that the emotional intelligence will be one of the skills that will be much sought after by the World Economic Forum by 2025. So it is a skill that's quite new, but it is quite helpful to be good leaders, to be good people, and to manage both your life and the life of people around you. So today, team, is about, as the introduction, how can we develop a better emotional intelligence, and how can we make those learning helping us to be better version of ourselves. So I'll go through a brief description of what is emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is an ability to recognize and regulate emotions in ourselves and in others. That is by Daniel Goldman. He's the one who first talked about emotional intelligence. Then we have Peter Salovey and John Mayer, who originally used the term emotional intelligence in their books and in their writings, and they define it as a form of intelligence that involves the ability to monitor one's own and other feelings and emotions, to discriminate among them, and to use this information to guide them to action. Also, this term, emotional intelligence, has been developed further by a very known scholar. It's called Bar-On, and he defines emotional intelligence, or what we call emotional quotient, as being concerned with understanding oneself and others. So we're just talking about the definition because it's very important to understand what is emotional intelligence and how it's been developed as a term. So the first person who used emotional intelligence was Daniel Goodman. And Daniel Goodman is one of the people that have written, and he's still teaching emotional intelligence. And when he started talking about it, it was something new. Nobody talked about it because mostly what people were talking about before, especially in organizations, is about intelligence and about intellectual quotient and intellectual and cognitive intelligence. And that's what's been the process for the last 100 years. So the idea of emotional intelligence has about 25 years since it's been developing. The latest definition is about how to improve our decision making, and give us a sense of enthusiasm and trust and cooperation. So, and what they find out is that people with good emotional intelligence are also intelligent leaders. So they can manage better and lead their teams in an effective way. So that's why organizations now are learning, using it as part of their training and development, and in developing teams and in developing good performance through emotional intelligence. What we want to do today, because of the time we have, is to do just an introduction. But still, with the introduction, we want it to be more interactive. So I'll be asking people to join in. One of the things about emotional intelligence is we want to see people. So we want to see people so that they can put on their cameras on, so we can see them. And, so that's one of the things that I will be asking people to do. So when we talk about emotional intelligence, we have 4 dimensions. We have first dimension, which is about self-awareness. Number 2 is self-management. Number 3 is social awareness. And number 4 is social skills. So these are the 4 competencies, the 4 skills, the 4 dimensions of personal emotional intelligence. So also we can talk about emotional intelligence in teams, in groups, but initially these are the 4 aspects of emotional intelligence. So I'm going to repeat them. First is about self-awareness, then self-management, social awareness, and social skills. So self-awareness is about to be aware of our own feelings and to manage them in a way so that we can be effective in developing relationships or understanding ourselves, understanding why we behave in certain ways and why we can feel certain feelings, senses when we have interactions with others. We're going to go into a state where first we want to know how you're feeling now. So I'll ask people in the chat just to write one word. How do they feel now? So please just describe how you feel. Be honest, just say how you feel. Some people are. So just in the chat, yes, write how you feel. And then we can see later on how this session has some changes or some impact on how we feel. So take a minute and write down how you feel. I invite everybody to do that. I'll ask Suleiman to read few of those expressions of how people are feeling. Or Sana, yeah.
Oh, Sana, go ahead, Sana. If you want.
I was saying it's just great to see how people are expressing their feelings right now, even through emojis. Okay, so let me read some of the feelings shared here. So excited, that's me.
Okay.
Calm, honored.
Okay.
Usama Sunhaji said, let me say great. Okay. And Suleiman feels happy. What about the others? Asiya, how do you feel? Asiya Zahrani, how do you feel? Fatem Zahra, come on. Okay, Adil feels excited. Okay.
Okay. Right. So what I would say, first, I'm gonna read a quote to you. Okay. Is about opening the mind. The greatest obstacle to discovery is not ignorance. It is the illusion of knowledge. Here, what we just want to be in touch with how we feel. And we want to be authentic because we go through completely different feelings throughout the day. And we are always having specific feeling at specific moment. So feelings are part of our everyday life. What we want to do in this session is to start to be aware of them and to stop and to think about them, to raise that awareness of what's going inside, to be self-aware. And part of self-awareness is to know the difference between the feelings and actions. The feelings are acceptable. The actions may not be. Also to recognize that others are mirrors of ourselves. And we have to ask ourselves, what's my role in this? And the last part, we want to write a personal mission statement that we moving forward, we will be taking certain actions to be aware of our feelings and to perform to the best of our knowledge and our abilities, acting on good feelings, acknowledging the feelings that do not serve us, but not acting on them. So that's the first part of our self-awareness. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do an exercise about mindfulness so we can move from different states and different feelings. So we're going to do a breathing exercise so we can feel comfortable where we are. So everybody sitting comfortably, they can feel their feet touching the floor. their back standing up. And as they do that, they can start to feel their body. Go back into themselves. Now, we're going to do power breathing. So we're going to breathe from our nose, and then we're going to release from our mouth like we're blowing a candle. But what we're going to do is when we inhale, we're going to keep it in our body as long as we can, and then we exhale. Some people might like to close their eyes. Some people might just take the breathing in. So deep breath. Hold it in your stomach. Then release. Another breathing. Holding it as long as possible, as it is comfortable, and then release. Inhaling. Then exhale. Another time. Now, as you hold your breath, think of something that you love, something you like. And then release. Our next breath is taking it with the love we have for the person, the place, the food. Taking it in. Enjoying, relaxing, and then release. Now that we feel nice and relaxed, we can take a longer deep breath. In our body, keeping it. And then release. Now come back to your body, feeling your feet and your toes, going up to your hands and fingers, and then back to yourself, feeling relaxed, feeling comfortable. Now, in one word, people can say what they are feeling. Suleiman, can you give people the mic so that they can speak?
Yes, I can give them. right now.
Thank you.
Welcome. So please, if you can share with us your feeling up after this nice exercise.
Yeah, very relaxing. Thank you.
Thank you. Excellent.
Well, actually, thank you very much for this this exercise. It's in fact, it's like if you're getting rid of this let's say negative energy and trying to absorb everything that is healthy from the environment surrounding you. This is how I felt personally.
Excellent. Thank you. Now, this is a really one of the powerful exercise. Is part of what we call mindfulness. I've been running mindfulness sessions for National Health Service. So we do it every Monday and 9:30 for about 20 minutes, half an hour. And people who go through it, they spend very good week because that's how they started. Feel more energized, more focused, happier. So, and I think I would just want to give you a taster, but you can do it and get good at it. So, but just want you to feel that what you have just done, you have changed how you feel.
Yes, can I just share Fatim Zahra's feedback here in the chat? She
Please,
said
please.
she felt relaxed, and she also felt more focused.
Excellent, very good.
Adil, sorry, another
Yeah, go ahead.
Another person wrote relaxed. He said I traveled home when he was breathing. It was like he was traveling, in fact. Yusuf Benani said he felt happiness simply, and he was relaxed as well.
Excellent. That's the feeling we want. And now that we have experienced this, then we're gonna go to the slide and talk about the value of emotional intelligence, because what the feelings we have, they help us to navigate the change, because every day we are meeting with a lot of challenges, and how can we be prepared to manage the stress? Because we get into a very stressful situation where it's very intense. Now you have one way of how can I reduce the stress? How can I reduce, the way that I'm feeling? So I've given you one of the ideas about how I changed my state from stressed, excited into calm and relaxed. And this comes from also from experience, because as Sana was talking about earlier, my long experience working with people who are bereaved, who lost family, people who died, they are always in a state of what we call a post-traumatic stress disorder. So they are always very, very intense and very stressed. And the way we were able to manage that is to create psychological safety for them, where a space where they can go into themselves and they understand what are the triggers, so that they are in touch with their own feelings. So when they can understand that something is going to trigger or is going to make them react, they start to find ways how to manage that. It could be a smell, it could be music, it could be anything. A picture can trigger all that stressful situation. Now, what we want to learn, and this is briefly, is how can we look at the experiences we had, which are full of adversity, difficult times. Sometimes we have certain traumas, and those traumas affect how we behave. So part of developing those skills is to be resilient. Resilient means having the ability to cope or to bounce back after traumatic situation or a challenge. And this is where a lot of people fail. Trauma, something happens to them, they don't stop it for after a while. It stays with them. Some traumas can stay with people for months, a year, 10 years, 30 years, and it affects their own behavior. So that's why we had to understand that certain experiences and traumas we have, we need to acknowledge them and to work through them. To do that, if you look at the slide, so we have two ways of how the mind and heart are working. So when we are in a stressed situation, our heartbeat is chaos. But when we are in a more relaxed situation, our heartbeat is normal. Now, if we look at the feelings, we have different feelings. So when we have an elevated feeling, positive feeling, our body reacts in a different way. First, what is a feeling? A feeling is a chemical balance or imbalance in our body. So when we feel pain, we feel a chemistry in our body. We can feel the aches, we can feel the pains. So that is a chemical reaction that is produced in our body. What is essential is to understand how the mind and the heart work. So if you look at the picture on the right, so the mind has the information, and that information is sent to the heart, who does the transformation and does the change. So that's why we need to value emotional intelligence. We need to be aware of our feelings and how we are at every moment. Because what we want is to lead a happy and successful life. So if we move on to the next slide, please, Suleiman. So what we want to do, we want to achieve heart and brain coherence. What does that mean? We want our mind, our heart working together in a coherent way. So if we look at the picture, so on the left, we have what we call cortisol in our body is produced. Cortisol is produced when we are in a stressful situation. So when we are in a stressful situation, because feeling certain negative feelings. So if you want to read the one on the left, is Suleiman expression of all the feelings we can have. So on the left column, where we have what we call depletion.
You have anger, panic, fear, terror, frustration, hatred, despair, then high anxiety.
Okay.
Then when it's, do you want me to read the other column? Renewing?
Please, yeah, renewing,
Yes.
correct. Yeah.
So for renewing, you have feelings of joy, excitement, passion, pride, exhilaration, elevation, then inspiration.
Rin,
Okay.
ton sac.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much. So
Okay.
what we have two kinds of feelings. One is negative, and it is what we call depleting. Why is it depleting? Because it's giving us something that is taking time and taking life out of us. Because when you are in stress mode, you are depleting, you are not growing, you are not renewing. So that's why you have to make a choice. Do you want to stay in a situation which is where you have depleting emotions, or do you want to be in a situation where you have renewing emotions? So when you are aware of the two variables, you can start to make the choices that you need to do. We want to be on the right hand side. What we want to have in our body is oxytocin. That is the happiness drug. That's, if we are able to produce that in our body, we will be very happy. And as you can say, when you have those cortisol, it is very stressful and depleting. But when you have oxytocin, it is completely joyful, exciting, passion, pride, elevation, inspiration, also love, compassion, care, appreciation, gratitude, satisfaction, and peace. So now you can see that our choice of our emotions depend on us. We can only make choices when we have awareness. First, we have to identify the feeling and the emotion. Now, going into the future, you always take stock and think about how you're feeling. If it is positive feeling or it is negative feeling. You have stress, what are you going to do to get out of stress? That's what you want to think about. Stress is like putting your hand on fire. How long can you put your hand on fire? Not long. That's the same way with cortisone. You don't want cortisone in your body. What you want is oxytocin, the happiness drug. Okay? Now, if we go a little bit down, because first we have the emotions, but then we have the behaviors. And as we talked earlier about, it's okay to have the feeling, but it's not okay to act on every feeling we have. Certain behaviors are not acceptable. And like you have there, and the negative depleting cortisol, you have shouting, attacking, lashing out, exploding, bullying, retaliating, demanding, and withdrawing, worrying, procrastinating, obsessing, criticizing, mocking, and avoiding. All those are, we call them negative behaviors. So we don't have any justification to do them. Some people justify why they can shout to themselves, or they can satisfy to themselves the idea that bullying is okay, or that they can be obsessing about something. Those behaviors, they don't serve you as a human being, as a person. So you have to avoid them, you have to be aware of them, and you don't act on them. Part of what we're doing today is to find ways of how, when I am in that situation, how can I manage my feelings, which is the second part of emotional intelligence, is self-management. How do I manage my feelings? Am I in control of those feelings, or sometimes I'm overcome? You find a lot of people saying, "Oh, I can't control myself. I am like this. I am nervous by nature. I'm always upset." Well, this is just a way of accepting behaviors that are not right and justifying to themselves. So what we want to be in a positive behaviors which are inspiring, celebrating, motivating, energizing, creating, innovating, and listening. So that is the relationship between our mind and our heart. As you can see in the picture, on the right-hand side, our heartbeat is regular. But on the left-hand side, it's all over the place. It's chaotic. It's not. So that's what we did the exercise earlier. What we did, we regulated our heartbeat through our breathing. That is the only way, is how we can regulate. So now, when we are in a situation where we are upset or angry or want to shout, we can just stop and breathe. Once we breathe for 3, 6 to 9 times, our reaction is going to be different, because it's not going to be spontaneous. Now, if we can move on to the next slide, please, Suleiman. Yes, now this is where we move from resilience to opportunity. What does that mean? It means that we are able to respond, what we call response ability. We are able to respond according to our choice. So that is when we turn the pain into gain. So what we are looking at here is our heart rhythm and emotion. So in the first picture in red, what do you have? Your heart rhythm is all over the place. It's incoherent, it's chaotic. So your heart rate is fluctuating, going all the way up and down. Whereas in the second picture, our heart is going in a coherent way. So our heartbeat and our heart rate is in a rhythm. And in this picture, you can see you can be careful, you can be caring, you can appreciate, you can be having gratitude, you can have also love and be calm. So if people have questions, we can take them later on. But if there are something that's not clear, we can always talk about them. Now, the second part of the picture, which is explaining to us what is the relationship between the heart and the mind. And here I will take just a brief stop and explain that changes that happen when we have a heart and mind working together and we don't. So when we are in the picture on the left, we have an increased activity in the amygdala, and the amygdala is what people are referring to as the lizard brain, and that is where we have fight, flight, or freeze, which is our automatic response or spontaneous response. Our body and our emotions react so fast before our brain. So you can see that when there is unrhythmic, chaotic heartbeat, that affects how the amygdala works, because it gives signal to the brain that you are in danger, that you are in emergency situation. So the brain automatically reacts without your control. It goes into three modes. Either it fights, or it flights, or it freezes. And that is what we see, how people behave. Because what they do, and that's what we call, people have too much blood in the head, because the heart is pumping quite a lot of blood, goes to the head, so people are not thinking clearly. If we move on to the next picture, where we can say that, no, just the same picture, but just one on the right, you can see that the heartbeat is regular. And because the heartbeat is regular, what do we have? We have decreased activity in the amygdala, which allows us to think clearly, because this is the executive power, is in the front lobe. So the two sides and front lobe is what enable us to think clearly. It's not our amygdala, but our brain. So we are able to control our actions. So now, as you can see, it's very important to have coherence between the heart and the mind. But there is something that people in the West or doctors, they don't think about the heart as a thinking organ. They only think of the heart as pumping blood. Whereas in our culture, in our belief, as Muslims, we know that the heart is very important. But in the West, they don't think about the heart. They say it's only the brain and the amygdala. So there is no, the heart doesn't have a role. Whereas we understand perfectly in our belief system that the heart is also a thinking organ. And this has been discovered by a French scientist in 2091. His name is Armour. We find out that the heart has the same neurons and perform the same operations that the mind does. So, and we have that in our holy book, in the Quran. It says that أَلَيْسَ لَهُمْ قُلُوبٌ يَعْقِلُونَ بِهَا, which means don't they have a heart which they can think and use? So now we have to accommodate our own viewpoint and our learning according to our culture and our belief system. That's why I choose this model, which is from HeartMath, because they believe that the function of the heart is not just about pumping blood, but it has a very important factor in our life. And also we have the Prophet's hadith, which says that there is an organ in the body, and if the organ is sound, everything is healthy and sound. And if this organ is unhealthy and fit, the whole body is unhealthy and unfit. And that is the heart. So the Prophet ﷺ gave us an indication that the heart has a very important role in our body. The heart is more powerful than the mind. And as you can see from the pictures, the heart can radiate 5,000 times electromagnetic field than the brain can. So very important to understand that our heart is fundamental in controlling our emotions and also controlling our brain. Now we move on to the last slide, please, Sulaiman. As part of the introduction, you say how we can move on from gain, before and after pain. So we have pain and then we can gain. And then if there is pain coming, so we also have to benefit from it. So which is creating an opportunities and reaching out to who we are. Today, living in COVID, people had to go through a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety. They have lost parents, they have lost friends, they are lost jobs, they lost livelihood. So a lot of people lived in what we call fear zone. And after that, we moved to less stressful situation, which is the learning zone. What have we learned from the situation? And so we can move into the future. So we went through very stressful very anxious times, but now we are in what we call a growth period where we can find purpose and we can create mission statement of what we want to achieve. Also, we are in a state where we can be grateful for what happened to us. I have had many conversations with people, and they said that the COVID experience and the pandemic has been a blessing. And those, most of them are very successful. Because they have looked at the situation and they looked at what they can benefit from and how they can make a positive experience. So now we're going to do another exercise which increases our level of oxytocin in the body, because that's something that we would like to do. And we want to work more on being grateful. So if you follow me, we're going to do another exercise. Okay? So this exercise is very simple. From the start, I want you to think about somebody who helped you, somebody who supported you, and now you, before I finish, so before we go to the exercise, there are some my details in here, but if people want to reach out to me, they can go through you, or they can go to my website, which is www.success-tradepath.co.uk, or they can go back to you to Circle of Diamonds and they can get my details. Now you can close this slide, please, Sufyan. Thank you. And I would like everybody to join us with their cameras if it's possible. People,
Thank
please.
you, Khadija.
Come
Thank
on,
you.
don't be
People
ashamed.
who are activating their cameras.
That's
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah.
That's so nice of you. Thank you.
That's beautiful. Yeah, excellent. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Nice to see you all. Excellent. Great. So the exercise goes like this. So think about somebody who supported you, somebody who helped you, and then what you're gonna do, you're gonna do wishing for them. Okay? So please follow what I'm going to say. So thinking about this person, I want you to say this person, man, woman, group of people who helped you, who supported you, this is your wishing for them. May he, may she, may be safe. Please say after me. May he, may she, may they be safe.
May she, may they be safe.
May they be happy.
May he be happy.
May they have a healthy life.
Maybe he has healthy life.
May they have a fulfilled life.
Maybe he has a fulfilled plan.
May they thrive.
Maybe try.
So think about those people, send them positive wishes and vibrations. Now, you can do it in your silence, but you can do it for yourself. So you can, okay, so you can follow me. May I be safe. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I have a fulfilled life. And may I thrive. Now we're going to do it for your neighbors, people you know, your acquaintances. May they be safe. May they be happy. May they be healthy. May they be having a fulfilled life. And may they thrive. While sending these positive vibrations to them. Now, you as a leader who have sphere of influence and has capabilities, you can leverage good. And doing this good, you might not see the fruit, but you still take the step because you want to be force for good. So you're going to do it now. And this is part of speaking up. And in our belief system, it says, if you see something wrong, you write it, make it right. And if you can't do it right with your hand, you do it with your mouth, your voice. And if you can't, you do it with your heart. And that is the least we can do. In our hearts, we're going to send positive vibrations to everybody, everywhere. So everybody, everywhere, we wish them to be safe. We wish them to be happy. We wish them to be healthy. We wish them to have a fulfilled life. And we wish them to thrive. So, thank you for sharing this special moment. So what we have done in the last part of the session was to look at the social awareness and social skills, because we moved from our self-awareness and self-mastery into awareness of others and developing a positive relationship with them. As leaders, what we can do, take it as is a personal mission statement, where you can have what we call RAP, Relationship Action Plan. How will I be managing my emotions, and how will I be developing the relationships with my family, my friends, at work, with everybody that I come in contact with. Now, I'm going to ask you in the chat box, or as you are now on camera, say one word. How do you feel since you started up now in this moment? I have Sana on my right, so start us, Sana, please.
So let me start with myself first. I feel enlightened compared to how I started, or compared to my feelings at the very beginning of actually, this is a coaching session, and thank you very much for it. For Fatima Zahra, she said, enriched. This is how she feels.
Excellent.
What about the others?
It was an eye-opening experience, so thank you so much. And once again, as much as I say and more, thank you so much.
It's a real pleasure. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Adil Jati.
Thank you, Mr. Rodi, for this session. So it was a good experience today. So we exercised those two exercises. So yeah, they changed the feeling that we had at the first. Yeah. So for the questions, I think I have a question, but for later maybe. So
Please send them to the chat box so that at least we.
Yeah,
please.
I do.
And also you can ask them verbally. I'm just saying that in case we don't cover them. If we have them in the chat box, we always go back and write to you the answers.
Okay. So yeah, it was a good experience. Thank you, Mr. Norti.
a real pleasure. Thank you very much.
Just thank you. Thank you very much for this interesting session. Well, as I said, it's a coaching session. And I really appreciate how you just went through the different steps of your presentation or your coaching session, basing your ideas or information you shared on research, on scientific evidence, inviting us all together to practice a very interesting exercise in which we, in fact, do experience all those feelings. Once we experience, then you move straight forward to a scientific, again, explanation, talking about mind, talking about the heart, talking about oxytocin, then cortisol. This is really interesting. And I appreciate the fact that you ended with resilience. After all, we are aware that there is that positive side, negative one, but we should learn how to be resilient and be all the time in search of this opportunity. And something I like, you said it's okay to have feelings. It's okay to have bad feelings, but it's not okay to act according to these feelings. So something going on inside, and it's you are the master of your own decisions. So thank you very much.